Hi everyone, this is Dr. Sushila Suresh and this is Dr. Himal. We are now going to tell you something about the COVID-19 pandemic, for which we have been dealing with it from the last 3-4 months. Now earlier all that we knew was we had to wear mask, we have to maintain social distance, and we have to quarantine ourselves if we were sick. Now over the last 3-4 months, with all the experience that the world has and we as doctors have, we are in a better position now to tell you what to do in this pandemic. Now things are much clearer as to when to test, what investigations to do, how to treat mild, moderate and severe cases of the disease, and also when to admit the patient. So now I am going to walk through with Dr. Himal on how to deal with COVID-19 infection. Now before I start, once again I am telling everybody, this is not a pandemic where everybody is doomed and everybody is going to die. This is a flu, it remains a flu where you get sick and a few people who are unlucky get more sick and maybe get hospitalized. A very small percentage of people will probably get into the ICU and have life-threatening complications. But I'm warning you, you follow the protocol, you go to the doctor, get yourself tested, and you will not go through serious infection. So let me just start. Now the first thing that you do is know the symptoms of this disease. The symptoms of this disease, doctor?
So as Dr. Sushila said, I would like to continue with it. So the main thing is don't panic. So it's not like if you come to the hospital it is the end of the world, or even if you come to the intensive care unit it is not the end of everything. So everything is more clearer now. The treatments are also better, and even the outcome is also quite good. So the COVID patients, how do they present to us is usually they present to us with cough, they are milder symptoms, but if they have more severe symptoms they usually develop breathing difficulty. This is the main symptom. Other than that, they can also have some other symptoms, like they can also develop a stroke, they can also have a heart attack, or sometimes they can also develop some kind of loose stools and other picture. So when these presentations are there, again it has been characterized into mild, moderate and severe. Usually mild and moderate category of patients will not require a very high care, and the sicker patients who are very small in number, maybe around 5 to 10% of the entire population, they will require the intensive care unit setup. So
I'll start with mild disease.
Yes.
So fatigue, myalgia, little body ache, low grade fever, maybe stomach is queasy, maybe you have couple of loose motions, maybe this is the beginning of the infection. All of you, if you have any of these symptoms, take it as COVID unless proved otherwise. 2 days later, go and get your RT-PCR done. It's a small test, it's just a nasal swab, and the results come within 1 day. As soon as the result comes positive, the first thing that I would advise you is that go and contact a doctor. Now there are plenty of physicians available all over the town to treat you with mild COVID disease. There are a few tablets to be taken. The course is about 7 days. Now this tablet, you must have heard, that is called Favipiravir, associated with a few other drugs like azithromycin, doxycycline, that the doctors will decide, will do 2 things. One, it will shorten the course of the illness so that you remain less ill for lesser period of time and you recover faster. The virus clears faster, and by the end of a week or so you are much better. Now at the same time, when you are going through mild disease, get all your contacts also tested so that they can also be under observation. So once 7-8 days are over, the biggest mistake that all of you all do is that, okay, the fever is gone, my stomach is better, I've taken 1 week's tablet, so let me just relax. Now that's not what you're going to do. At the end of 7-8 days, please get back to the doctor. A lot of people are just tired at the end of 7 days and they don't know that they are heading for a more moderate to severe form of disease. Now this is the time when all that you have mostly is tired. Some people may have a little fever, but most people are just tired. Now this is also called happy hypoxia. That is, the oxygen is really low, the body is really fatigued, and you're not aware that you're seriously ill. Now this is the time, that's why I'm saying again, all of you who are ill, at the end of 7-8 days, get back to the doctor. Maximum the doctor will do is do a few blood tests again and do the CT scan and then decide whether you're clear, you don't have to worry, or you need to get into the hospital. Now Dr. Himal will tell you what happens if you get admitted because the blood parameters are not okay and the CT scan is not okay? Dr. Himal.
So when the patient presents to us, as I told, it can be a mild to moderate symptom or it could be a severe symptom as well. Mild to moderate can be managed in the ward with minimal oxygen support and all the antivirals and other supportive medications which can increase the immunity. But the severe category of patients needs to come to the ICU because their oxygen requirement is quite high and they will have other organs also which can go into failure. So what we do in the ICU is, initially we try to treat them with a minimal amount of oxygen and try to help their respiratory efforts. In case if they become more sicker, we put them on something called as a non-invasive ventilator or a high flow machine, which cannot be given in the ward. So in spite of all these things, if the patient is not recovering, then we have to get something called as an artificial support, that is nothing but a mechanical ventilator. So once the patient is on mechanical ventilator, it will take its own time for the lung to heal. But what we have seen over the days is many patients are coming out of the ventilator, usually especially when they don't have multiple comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension, heart diseases, or it could be an elderly age. These are the only things which prevent them from coming out of the ventilator, but rest all the patients.
It's not that these people don't come out,
That's
they
right.
also do come out.
That's right,
But
yes.
they make things more difficult for us.
Correct.
We need to be more vigilant and maybe
Exactly.
work harder on them. But they also do come around.
They take more time, but they do come around, but they are one of the subset of population which requires a higher care. So that's what I want to convey is, coming to ICU and getting in ventilator is not it's not the end thing. It's still, you have a lot of time to get better and come out of the ICU setup.
Yeah,
So-
now here what I want to stress once again is that if you don't become alert at the end of a week and seek medical help and you come at the last minute with oxygen of 75, 80, you're panicking, there's no bed, you call BBMP, you call 14410, you call 1912, then you look for all the corporate hospitals. Valuable time is lost in those 8-10 hours, during which you could really worsen, and a lot of people kind of die in the ambulance, die as soon as they come before we can do anything. Okay, so summing up the whole thing, get yourself tested on 3-4 days, take treatment, review yourself at 8-9 days just in case you're the COVID patient who's going to get sicker. If the investigations are abnormal and you need to be in the hospital, don't panic. There will be beds somewhere for you with the guidance of all the corporate hospitals, the BBMP and a lot of other agencies which will help you to get into the hospital. Get into the hospital. Lot of treatment is there. Injection remdesivir is there, tocilizumab is there. People are getting convalescent plasma, and a lot of oxygen related beds are there in the hospitals. Okay, so please follow the instructions, follow the protocol, don't panic and don't hide inside the house. This is all I have to say. What do
And
you say?
the most important thing is, the earlier you start this treatment, the more beneficial it is going to be. If you delay the treatment by neglecting the symptoms, then the outcome will not be good. And one more thing is, as the cases have increased, don't ever feel that you are more safer. So you have to follow all the etiquettes, the hand washing practices, the social distancing, the proper wearing of face mask, all those things. So if you do this, probably you can prevent this disease happening. So prevention is better than cure. And that's how we can avoid the hospital admissions as well. But whenever you're having symptoms, if you get affected, don't delay, please come to us. So we are here for you, and we'll make sure that you get the best of the treatment and go home afterwards.
I want to give an example of my own elder sister, Vani, who's a bank employee. She's CEO of a bank. Her husband was positive for COVID. He was admitted in COVID care center for 7 days. He got back home. Her daughter was positive. She had cough. She came back home. But my sister continued to go to the bank, and after about 4-5 days of recovery of her husband and daughter, she got a little fever and she got frequency of urine. She took some Dolo and she decided that by day 2-3 she's all right. She started going back to the bank. The only thing that she had was she was tired. 2-3 days later, she just couldn't drive to the bank. She stayed at home and she was extremely tired to even drive and come to the hospital. Eventually, when she came to the hospital, her oxygen was just 74. She could hardly walk. She had no fever. She had no other symptoms of COVID. And when we did RT-PCR, she was already positive. We did a CT scan, her 80% of the lung was damaged. Within the next 24 hours, we get on with her and we were very aggressive with her treatment. We gave the antivirals, rest of it Dr. Himal will tell you.
Yeah. So probably I could say there was a little bit of delayed presentation, but she came in, the treatment was very early. So we started on antivirals first, what we call as remdesivir. As soon as it started, we also gave her a non-invasive ventilation and oxygen support. Along with that, so far initially we had not started anybody on a convalescent plasma. So we had a discussion among ourselves. We weighed the risk versus benefit ratio, and we thought we should give her a trial. And she is the first patient in our hospital to get a convalescent plasma. So she got the convalescent plasma.
We also gave Tossi for her.
Yes, and she got something called as an tocilizumab, which is a immune modulator as well. So everything was covered for her because all her biomarkers were very high. And in spite of that also, her lungs were getting worse and she had to be put on ventilator. So with ventilator support, and after a couple of days, even on ventilator support, we did what we call as prone ventilation.
Yes, that's what you had mentioned. Yeah.
So the prone ventilation is a thing which is helping a lot of patients, and she responded quite beautifully to the prone ventilation. And she took some time to come out because of her comorbidities and all that, but the persistence, the family support, and also the hard work of the nursing staff as well as the doctors paid off finally. And finally we could get her out of the ventilator.
19 days later, we could extubate her, and over the next 15 days, we sent her home.
It requires
so she was,
right.
So if you see in the COVID pandemic, 85% get better with mild disease, 10% have more severe disease, and 4% go into the ICU, and the mortality is 1%. So in these 4% of people, the chances of mortality in our hospital is 20-25%.
It's lesser than that actually.
Yeah, so over a period of time, our mortality has improved and we could just pull her out of it because of our experience of the last 3-4 months. So friends.
And even in the wards, when she was shifted to the wards, it was not an easy thing. They still had a lot of fibrotic lesions, and later she took over. And how did you manage? You can just tell
Yeah, so even after ICU, if you go to the ward and you are oxygen dependent, now all of you must be hearing a whole lot of people are going home with oxygen at home, bound to oxygen, homebound, 15 days, 1 month later, people are getting frustrated. Okay, am I ever going to be normal?
That's correct.
Now, we don't have a lot of experience as to how long it's going to take, but for what little experience we have of sending patients home, by the end of a month and a half, they require less and less oxygen, and eventually they are able to get back to their normal life with a recovered lung. Maybe a 10% damage remains, but normal life, going around, going to office, coming back, all that kind of recovery is possible. You'll have to wait another 3 to 6 months to see how all those people who went into ICU and on ventilator got better and how many of them eventually came out of oxygen. That we'll have to wait and see. But as of now, good hope. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. So I don't know when the vaccination is going to come or what all the advanced treatments are, but whatever we have right now, we have to deal with that and utilize it to the maximum and get the patient's betterment.
Okay, you were scared, we were scared. Now we are not scared to treat you, so you also don't be scared. Come to us, we'll treat you. And the last thing is the pandemic is not yet over. COVID is here to stay. People are going to be sick over the next 3, 4, 5 months till we will yourself see that the numbers have come down and things are better. So take care and follow the instructions. Thank you.
Thank you.